Southwest Airlines has an unbeatable record of not having made a loss, ever, in its entire history, not even in the aftermath of 9/11 when air traffic had taken a beating of as much as 32% for 3 months after the tragedy. Even big airline companies like United Airlines and US Airways suffered huge losses, but Southwest Airlines remained unscathed. With COVID-19 pandemic bringing air travel to a stop, and pushing airline companies into losses and bankruptcies, experts have predicted Southwest Airlines to recover the quickest. Southwest is the largest domestic airline in the USA, measured by the number of passengers carried. It is the world's largest low-cost carrier, and the 7th largest airline in the world. Southwest Airlines is the only airline among the biggest 10 in the world whose market capitalization is bigger than its annual revenue, indicating the strength of its business model among many other things. What adds more admiration to the Southwest phenomenon is the fact that this airline was not created by some airline professionals, with top-line management degrees or by billionaires, but by people who had focused on getting their basic business principles in order, and followed clear mathematics. It was said that businessman Rolling King, 32, the main founder and the largest early shareholder in the airline, explained the idea of Southwest to his partner Tubby, a 33-year lawyer called Herb Kelleher, on a restaurant napkin at a dinner, in the 60s. King stated that the restaurant thing was fiction, but the way they had passionately gone after the idea, was a reality. Low-cost airlines were there even before Southwest Airlines, but it was truly when this airline came into the scenario, that the rules of aviation games were changed forever. Southwest Airlines was incorporated in Dallas, Texas, in 1967, but was unable to begin operations till 1971 as it was caught in legal obstacles by established airlines who, in collusion with the lawmakers, tried every trick in trade and regulatory loopholes, to thwart its flight. Kelleher was a brilliant lawyer, but had no prior experience of the aviation sector, or even knowledge of aviation laws to start with. When Southwest Airlines was formed, Kelleher had less than 2% stake in the airline. But his legal acumen and never-give-up spirit saw the brand soar above various types of hurdles in its way. The more established big airlines were apprehensive that their profits would be negatively impacted if Southwest Airlines would be allowed to operate. After all, Southwest Airlines was charging half of what they were charging. So the legal tussle between the big brands and this nascent airline continued for 4 years, and Kelleher continued to battle every legal spin that was thrown on him. On June 18, 1971, Southwest started first interstate flight from Dallas Airport. Kelleher, who became the chairman of the board, went on to become one of the most successful CEOs in the aviation history, while King slowly quit the airline he had founded, because he didn't agree with the board on certain decisions about the company. The famed Southwest's popular model that has earned it unbroken consecutive profits year on year, since its inception, is now replicated around the world by other low-cost carriers. Here is how the rockstar airline made its entry. By 1953, people in US were traveling more by air than by train. Even then, air travel was considered a privilege. King realized that there were two types of airlines: the legacy-based model that pampered people with in-flight services like drinks and meals. And then there was a discount airline called Pacific Southwest Airlines, PSA, which just offered basic flying services without meals, alcohol and other frills. Their only purpose was to help a passenger travel from one place to another in a timely, hassle-free, cheap manner. King saw that people were increasingly favoring the PSA because of the cost factor. He understood that for a short-haul flight which would last for 2 hours or less, why would anyone be concerned about a meal or drink on flight? The real deal was to address a need, rather than entertain a luxury. The state of Texas was also a plus point in Southwest's success story. Texas is a huge state, the second largest after Alaska. Texas is also the second most populous state after California. Size-wise also, it is much bigger in size compared to most countries in Europe, like France and Germany. The main states, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Arlington, Fort Worth and El Paso, are spread far and wide across the state. Texas was also doing well as a state, back in those days. At that time, an airline, if it needed to provide interstate services, it needed permission from 2 or more states. But Texas itself was so big, with a massive inland spread of more than 200,000 square kilometers, there was also a demand for air travel in the area, which made the venture commercially viable in Texas. The founders of Southwest Airlines were clear that they were going to give people reasons to fly, with a reliable airline service that didn't have them paying for extras that they didn't need in short-haul flights. At the same time, they upped their service standards. No frills meant smart, not cheap, in their books. Southwest Airlines focused on low cost and high return for capital invested. In 1978, the Airline Deregulation Act came into effect, which did away from government regulations with respect to new entrants, fares and routes. This turned the industry into a level playing field, allowing Southwest Airlines to take its successful model in Texas and flourish its business interstate, in a much wider scale. Of course, due to the Airline Deregulation Act, many other low-cost carriers jumped into the fray. But it was no easy ride, because these airlines couldn't perform the balancing act of charging low prices to passengers, and the high cost of running and maintaining their planes. By 2000, many airline companies went bankrupt, but Southwest Airlines continued to soar higher and still remains in an enviable position. What is the secret? Most of Southwest Airlines' flights operate from secondary airports. It still continues to operate single class of aircrafts, Boeing 737-800 and Boeing 737 MAX. This brings down the cost of maintaining flights and streamlines the cost of training pilots, attendants and ground staff for only one type of plane. Point-to-point service and quick flight turnaround are its hallmark. The staff begins to clean the plane when it is still flying. Since the cleaning and basic maintenance is done ahead of time, there is a faster turnaround of new passengers and quick flight turnarounds. It is basic common sense, because flights make money only when they fly. Southwest Airlines is known to use a lot of humor in their advertising material, which makes their brand visibility a viral phenomenon. Since it invests in comparatively younger fleet than, say, a Delta or American Airlines, there is better savings on costs incurred on repair and maintenance. Southwest Airlines also does not look for fancy management degrees when they hire people, especially among freshers. They believe that the real learning happens on job, not in classrooms. Such has been the impact of Southwest Airlines that big, long-haul legacy airlines like Lufthansa and Air France-KLM also launched their low-cost carriers. Southwest Airlines have earned their place in the skies. Did you find this video helpful? If yes, please hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and press the bell icon for new videos.